it would become critical. Not necessarily we have Dan Howard, although Dan does a fine job in my view. But if you have no public safety position, then you have nobody in that position, then you do create a void. To what benefit? You know, that to me is really the crux of the issue. And you know, for people to complain about the special election, the cost of the special election, well, it's no mystery how that came about. You know, that was a conscious decision by people who wanted to bring it to this point, and now they've succeeded, and it's at that point. It doesn't mean that taking it through to the logical conclusion from those who are proponents of the special election benefits the city. I don't think it does at all. And it also doesn't mean a vote one way or the other that suddenly people in council or the manager are going to say, aha, we got over on you. We're never going to appoint chiefs, or we're going to appoint chiefs and have a public safety director. You know, there comes a point when, I'm not directing this to you personally, but there comes a point when people have to have a little better grip on reality and, you know, accept the fact that when people say things straight up, that's what they mean, and that's what the manager means.
Rick, if I could interject for just a moment, and John, not to take your time, but the grip on the reality has been formed by the fact that we have an interim public safety, interim, who's been here for a year? 9 months. Just seems longer. Because we've been but the fact of the matter is that we've heard a lot of conversation on multiple occasions about the quality of the individuals who serve in those departments and whether they have the skills to be chief. And I think we need to interject two things. One is common sense. When you look at the size of our departments and the fact that we've been downsizing in all departments, look at Atlantic City just eliminating the position of public safety director. And the second thing that you have to look at is what you know. And I, for one, will go on the record right now, and I will make the affirmative statement that we have individuals in all three of those departments who have the ability to lead their own departments. I will take a vote of confidence in those individuals, and I think it's time to move forward with this so that we can end what is a process that has no end. Well, if we think it's going to evolve into this process, then we'll do this. We need to make a decision. We need to move forward. And I think the public is frustrated, and that's why you have a referendum on May 13th. They're frustrated by the indecision, and what they hear is really contradictory statements coming out of people all the time. We want this, we want that. We're actually thankful that we have chiefs. Well, Frank, obviously we don't have chiefs. Those things need to be defined, and the decision needs to be made. And I think people are frustrated with the lack of decisions that are made, and really the complete uncertainty of where we are right now.
Well, I, for one, was confused because when I first heard about this, you know, the issue was Director of Public Safety or chiefs. And I kept saying, something's not jiving. You know, we're hearing from the department saying we need a chief and all. So I read the code. Now, I'm just a lay person. But in reading the code, it definitely defines a chief. And I think it was articulated here that somebody has to perform those functions in a from the police standpoint in a law enforcement capacity.
Well, I also think that the city code also says that you shall have a police chief, a fire chief.
Yes. And so that's where, but there are other duties that a director of public safety has. And I don't, you know, all I hear is, well, we don't have the chiefs, the departments need help in getting a chief, and that's what the director's here for. But I don't think that's what a director of public safety, that's not his primary, like, I shouldn't say he, that's not the primary responsibility of a director of public safety. That's one of the duties. Right. And to take, you know, that's where I'm getting confused. There's a lot of other things, and that comes back to my original question. Is the city of Brigantine busy enough to have a full-time director of public safety? We have a part-time CFO. Why do we need a full-time director of public safety?
Thank you.
I think the concentration should be on the chiefs and promoting our departments, getting our departments strong. But thank you for your time.
I think that there's something else that I want to say on this, and that is that I don't think there's a difference between leading your department and someone who will also cooperate with management. And I think that is a big, big issue that needs to be examined. I think it's fair to say that custom here in Brigantine has almost been you become chief by right of succession. And what we've had and what we've seen and see is a definite lack of willingness on the part of some leaders in the departments to cooperate with the city manager and with management principles and goals. And that's
Joe,
the issue.
Joe, do you have any evidence of that? And do you have anything that's, what are they being asked
Well,
to do?
Well, how about some of the problems that have erupted around overtime?
Well, if
people
you cut
putting in for
staff, you're going
overtime.
to have overtime. You have 7 people down in the fire department right now.
No, there are other issues that have happened with overtime that have been clearly abusive.
Let's not, folks, let's not call out from the, is there any other public comment? Okay, I'm going to close the, Paul, did you want to speak? I'm going to close the public portion. You want to speak, Ann? Yes. You're almost there.
Ann Winitsky, 4725 Atlantic Brigantine Boulevard. 2 weeks ago, at the last council meeting, I guess we could check the minutes, is the first time that we had an inkling from members of council that they would be interested in having chiefs. 4 weeks before that, if I'm not mistaken, 4 weeks before that, or 2 meetings ago, and I think it was 2 meetings ago, wasn't there a vote done so that we wouldn't have to, so the people who have the referendum would not have to proceed with it and there would be cost savings? Wasn't there a vote that night and it was voted down?
I'm not sure if it was, their meetings start to run together, but the vote was to eliminate the position of public safety director.
Okay, and it failed?
It failed.
Okay.
That had nothing to do with the chiefs.
Introduced, and then the adoption failed.
It was introduced and then the adoption failed, right?
It
Correct.
failed because majority did not want to eliminate the position from the salary ordinance. That's what the ordinance vote was for. We don't want to eliminate it. It's a mechanism there in place for the manager of the city to use when necessary if there's a disaster, if there's a safety issue, if there's a vacancy in the chief positions. So we don't want to eliminate that. That is a tool that's used.
I understand what the manager is saying, and I understand what you're saying. But no company, organization, or corporation runs like that. They don't have positions just floating out there so that they can use them when they want. There's an approval process. It's not just
Well,
created.
the difference is you got a person in the position.
Right.
Right, but initially, that's, you don't back into it. I mean, I've been in a lot of different companies, and I've never seen anything like that. And it just doesn't make logical sense to me, but that's irrelevant. The motion was to attempt to not have to go through a special election. I understand maybe some of my terms. That was how it was. I guess we could look at the video. I see you
Right.
shaking your head, but
If the
I'm
majority
clear
of
on this.
council had voted in the affirmative,
There would be no need for a special
There would be no
election.
special election, that's correct.
Because we would have removed the position
Right.
of public safety director
Correct.
from the code, and that is what we specifically do not want to do. We're not a corporation because, in the sense that we're not motivated by profit. What the city does.
In a
is-
nonprofit organization, there is a structure also. They
Yes,
don't create
but-
zillions of,
But we have to concern ourselves with provision of services and safety. A position to keep that position in the code gives us flexibility to move quickly. If not, the manager, it came upon a position where we suddenly needed a public safety director, as what happened when we had the 3 positions vacated, and one of them tragically, but we would have had to go through the process of creating the position instead of just being able to move somebody in there quickly.
Well, actually,
That's the
Joe,
issue of
what would
having
have
the
happened is
position
that
open.
the person, someone would have taken over control of the fire department, someone would have taken over control of the police department, someone would take over the control of the beach patrol. I mean, there's always someone to move up. I mean, we're not going to run out of people in those departments.
Well, we had a public safety director in place, so therefore, I have to imagine that there was a position for it.
We've had a public safety director all along, it just hasn't been full-time until
Well,
recently.
you have not had a standalone person in a public
full-time.
safety director position for a decade.
Right, I heard you say that. My point is that 4 weeks ago, we couldn't agree on this.
No, that's,
No,
And
obviously,
we voted
we still don't agree on it.
Because
we still don't agree
it's
on it,
being
Ann.
phrased in an either-or situation, and that is not
Then I
what
guess
we're
maybe we
interested in.
should pull up what the actual motion was, because it was about eliminating the
Public safety.
position of public safety
Right.
director.
Maybe Fred can clarify it, because it actually, what happened was a legal requirement. That petition had come back to council, correct?
Okay, you want me to try to clarify
It's
this, is
all
what you're
Fred.
asking me,
The
Mayor,
petition,
okay?
the petition that was out there, that was certified and was valid,
good.
had to come back to council to be voted on,
Yes, the...
Voted
but-
7-0
the-
to adopt.
To introduce.
Introduce,
and then it was voted?
Yes.
Yes.
5-2.
I mean, nothing changed between the first and the second reading.
Right.
And nothing has changed following the second reading, moving towards a special election.
Right.
The ballot question on the special election is, as a matter of fact, the ordinance that was proposed by the petition. It's been the same all along.
Right. So, the process now is that it has to go to a special election.
You will have a special election.
have a
Yes,
special
you're
election,
having a
yes.
special election.
yes. And Ms. Winitsky, if I
That's
can.
fine, but we could have avoided a special election if we would have voted that,
And we would
if
have,
council would have voted
and
that.
we would
It's
have all
either
had
yes
to
or
agree,
no.
Dan.
Right,
And
they
we
would have
would
had to
have
agree on
all had to agree to eliminate the position of public safety director. And the majority of council is not agreeable in eliminating that position from our code.
Then it sounds like there is a
And,
still
and
a
that,
need
and
for
that
it.
is why we had a 2 to 5
special
vote, and that's
election.
why we're having a special election.
Yes,
So there is still a need for the special election.
Yes,
yes.
And there's also a need to have a public safety director in the code.
we feel.
Right. Well, Tony, you must have evolved on this, because you used to argue about taking it out.
Yeah.
When, years ago, not recently, but you
Well,
used to.
Phil, if I may, our last standalone public safety director, I think, was Jim Barber. So you had a position, you had someone in that position, and he served, okay, he oversaw the departments administratively or what have you.
Right.
I think you've
But
heard
weren't you against it
everyone.
back then?
I-
You better go back and check,
Well,
because I think you
when
were.
you say I was against it,
Yeah,
I was against, what was I against, Phil? Tell me
having a public
specifically.
safety director.
I never said that.
Well, I think we have to go back and look,
Well,
because
we'd have to look, but the point is,
that was 2000, last time we had a full-time public safety director, who was also the zoning officer as well, was 2000.
but his primary job, I mean, a zoning officer, you know,
Well,
whatever,
zoning
whatever he.
officer's
whatever-
busy if they're doing
Yeah.
their job.
Yeah, whatever he was getting paid at that time, he was a full-time public safety, he was a full-time public safety director.
And zoning officer
And zoning
in
officer.
2004. Now, since then, we've
Yes.
also eliminated deputy police chief, deputy fire
We-
chief. We eliminated the captains in the police department. We eliminated a administrative captain in the fire department. We eliminated a lieutenant, I believe, in the fire department. So we've done those cuts throughout the years.
And we are continuing to eliminate the positions,
But you're
Mayor.
putting a
However,
position back
that
in
is correct.
full-time that you don't need.
It's going to stay in the salary ordinance if it stays in the code. I think you've heard everyone here say tonight that we're not going to have both. And I want to make another point about,
So then we are saying
I
that
want-
we're not having both. So if in fact
I want to make another
chiefs are
point, Mayor.
appointed, then the public safety director,
But this position is there in case it's needed. But I want to make another point, because you're making comments, personal comments. However, your personal comments counsel with on a bipartisan basis, 3 Democrats and 4 Republicans hired Jennifer Blumenthal. She's the CEO. She just explained to you and to everyone that she has an issue with certain individuals leading the department. And we have hired her to do a job. So we have to give credence to her decision-making if she feels, and she works with these individuals, that certain individuals are not, in her opinion, the right individuals to put in as chiefs, and she must have reasons for it. We must have confidence in her because we have appointed her. I'm going to give a lot of weight to her decision-making. And so I think that the position needs to stay on the books, because if it's needed, it can be used, but I'm not in favor, and I said that specifically this evening. If the position stays in and there is a transitional period, if Jennifer Blumenthal appoints chiefs, then I certainly am for having some sort of transitional period to phase the public safety director out, 30 days, 60 days, whatever the case may be. But no one here has stated that they are in favor of having a full-time public safety director. Has nothing to do with whether it's in our code and in our salary ordinance. You use it when you need it. I think everyone has said that. And I think the only thing that Jennifer said was that if she were through this process to be able to find someone, and comments were made about lieutenants, I think that you have to hire the most qualified person. It happens in private industry all the time. Just because somebody is a senior vice president, if there's someone below him that could be chosen to become the CEO. So
I'm sorry, Tony, I
agree
have
with
to
the process.
interrupt. That is really not the case.
I agree with
That is not the case in private industry. There is a structure there as well. You don't get promoted from this position to this position. You move up, they might move you up quickly, but you are in that next position. You do not jump over positions.
Right. So you're telling me that in
corporations.
private industry, now I really don't want to debate this, but in private industry, you're going to appoint somebody as CEO if the board doesn't believe that that individual's capable?
They don't
I
promote
don't think so.
someone from a lower position.
Well, in this
They
structure.
make sure that they put their people who they want in the positions that they need to be in, and based on performance, that person rises up.
But it's
not
the board,
longevity.
or it's the board that makes the ultimate decision.
But
and-
they
and-
don't take a vice president over a senior vice president. They may go outside the company, but they do not promote. If they like that vice
Okay.
president, they find a position and promote them to the next level. And from that level is what they promote to.
Okay,
Yes,
but the
people
fact of
get
the matter.
promoted by performance, not by longevity.
That's correct.
Well, we have this process where people.
It's a little different I understand in unions. I really don't know. I've never been in a
Well,
union
and
or in a
are we
city
close to the
position.
5? But I do want to
Okay,
ask.
well, I
just want to respond to one thing Tony said, and I think
wanna
we
sit
need to go
down.
back and, it's certainly, look at the over the years, I think some people have been on the other side of this issue. But with all due respect to Jennifer and her position as the manager, there's also a long-standing, I don't want to say tradition, but there have been times when you and other members of council have not agreed with the manager and have stated that publicly. And with all due respect to the position, I do not agree with this position. And I think we do have people who have the leadership ability right now to lead those departments. And I've said that consistently. But I don't think because you voted to put someone in, you have to agree with them on every issue. And quite frankly, if I'm in a management position, the people who are working for me, I don't want them to agree with me all the time. I can tell you right now, I have weekly meetings with my staff and we don't agree, and I want to hear their opinions. I want to hear their opinions. And that's anybody who wants to just surround yourself with people who are going to tell you exactly what you want to hear, or do exactly the direction you want to go, and offer no alternate opinion. It's not a healthy environment. And we do have people who can lead these departments.
As a taxpayer, I am not interested in positions being added to city government. And I feel really strongly about that, especially in the economic times that we are in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Any other public comments?
I just have a question. Joe, you said that some of the firefighters abused their,
Tried to.
okay, can you,
I'm not going to speak about it.
well,
I don't
isn't
feel
it
at
your
liberty.
duty to, if somebody's doing something illegal, shouldn't you?
No, I didn't say it was illegal, and it was handled managerially. But I think it displayed the fact that people have made poor management decisions on their own levels.
Okay.
Okay, seeing no other public comment at this time, I'm going to close the public portion. Do we need an executive session? No? Okay, it's 9:41.
Let's go.
Are there any council comments?
On the consent agenda tonight, we approved the Clean Ocean Action Beach Cleanup. That date is April 26th, and they meet at 16th Street, and that's from 9 to 12:30, April 26th. Just wanted to make that public.
Okay, seeing no other business before council, need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Once again, I want to thank everyone who attended the meeting this evening, and thank those of you who are viewing at home. Good night.
Oh, happy Easter.